Have you guys ever wondered what a Linux technical support engineer does for a living? Well, coming up, we have a very special guest that's going to tell you what a day in the life of a Linux technical support engineer coming up. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Bearded IT Dad, where we give you advice and insight on how to grow your career in the IT field. My name's Dakota, and today we have a very special guest, Brian, who is a Splunk Linux technical support engineer tier one with us. And he is going to tell us what he does for a living. Welcome, Brian. How's it going?
Hi everybody. I'm doing just awesome. Wanna say thanks to Dakota for giving me this opportunity, for sharing, a little bit about my experience as a technical support Splunk Linux engineer. So yeah, it's awesome to be here.
Awesome. So you're actually in Costa Rica. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's my native country, actually, Costa Rica. hmm
Awesome. So, uh, how do how is it working for Splunk as a technical support engineer? What is your daily job responsibilities kind of look like?
Uh, well, basically on daily basis, as a technical support Splunk Linux engineer, our duties are, mainly focused on Linux systems most of the times. But even though the job title says that, sometimes we also have to work on Windows systems. What we do on daily basis basically is troubleshooting issues with the Splunk instances. Uh, Understanding what a Splunk is, basically, is just a tool that monitors logs, monitors data. Splunk basically has a monitor and alerting system, add knowledge to your data. You can search and investigate with the Splunk. You have index data storage in a Splunk instance that is called indexer, and you can perform reports, dashboards, build up your own dashboards, personalize them, custom the dashboards, and analyze data from there. It works for application management, operations management, security and compliance, and everything. Actually works for everything in IT industry. And what we do is troubleshoot issues related to this kind of stuff. So for example, customer has a topology, some Splunk instances, we got the universal forwarder, which is the one in charge of sending the logs or sending the data to the indexer, which is another Splunk instance that is in charge of parsing the data and storing the data. Sometimes we got problems with data quality issues, like the data is just not right or it's not getting parsed properly, or the events, the logs coming from the universal forwarder for any reason are not showing up in the search hat instance. So we gotta find it out, figure out what's going on, and troubleshoot Linux systems, sometimes Windows, and basically that's what we do. We also provide root cause analysis to customers. We also provide best practices, documentation, and yeah, almost kind of everything. Yeah,
That's awesome. It sounds like you never have a boring day.
never. Yeah, honestly, every single case in Splunk is different, and I mean, I have I have had 1,000 cases already resolved, and I can say that of those thousand of cases, I'm not sure. Let's say 10,000 cases. Uh, just I have had just like 6 cases that were basically the same. So I just start searching in my own documentation because I like to save what I did for every single case. And I found out what I did on the other case. I found the documentation and I just resend it and got the case resolved. But I can say that when I start working on this Splunk, I start saving every single information, every single troubleshooting step I did per case, because I thought I was gonna be getting similar cases every day, and it didn't. I mean, it didn't happen. It wasn't like that. All cases are different. You are always busy, and yeah, it's a lot of new things to learn every day. So cool.
So I'm actually kind of curious. Personally, what do you use to keep documentation? Do you have a certain favorite program, or are you old fashioned pen and paper? What do you do?
I like old fashioned. I like to have everything, physical. I love it for any
Yeah.
reason, and it helps me learning. And but I also have in Google Drive have some Note plus notes right there saved, and also the standard Notepad. I always like to keep information, in different ways, so I can make sure I will not lose it, fault tolerance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so do you mind sharing kind of how you got your start into the IT field? What was your first jobs and kind of your steps to enter the field?
Yeah, sure. Well, my story, it was kind of hard to get into the IT field because the place where I'm coming from, it's really hard to study. It's really, really hard to study because of a lot of things. And also, you know, we are in Spanish speaking Spanish language native country. Basically, learning English here is also kind of hard. So the very first thing I had to do is to learn English and IT. IT is something you can even work on without talking in English, but most of the documentation is in English, so it's easier to understand it and to study if you know the English language. So that was the very first barrier I have to overcome, the language. Right after learning English, I started working in a call center for Citibank. It was a financial call center. That job was, I mean, it was good. It was not a bad job, uh, but I had that feeling that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I get to the point that it was like, every single day when I woke up morning, I was like, gosh, I gotta do something. I don't want to keep the rest of my life working for a financial institution. Honestly, I mean, again, it's a nice job. I mean, I kind of like it. It was not as that bad, but again, it's that thing that you just feel is not what you really love to do. And when that happens, I mean, it's kind of horrible because you start kind of fighting against yourself and against your responsibilities and what you have to do, and you start, you know like, there is a lack of motivation to keep moving forward. So when I was at that point in this financial institution, I remember that I start thinking what I can do. I mean, I am already uh, 23 years old, which is not as that, oh, I'm still young. But in my country, at least, if you didn't start studying at 18 years, because of the university process here in my country is so long and complicated. So if you started at, let's say, 22 years, it's already too late. So I was like, I cannot go to the university. I'm almost 24. And if I didn't get a career in a university in my country before 25, I'm kind of lost. So because of the culture here, companies and everything, are looking for young people in my country from universities, right? But in the IT field is different. So then I start again thinking what I can do. So then I realized about the IT industry. I had a friend who was studying for getting his CompTIA Plus certification. And one day I was talking to him about my situation, my personal situation. I was like, I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling I don't want to keep doing this for a living. I want to do something else. And he said like, hey, you know what? Why you don't get into the IT field? And I was like, IT field? Yes, information technology. And it was, okay, what is that about? I didn't even know. I didn't even know. And he was like, well, it's about computers and technology, networking. Have you heard about Cisco? Have you heard about CompTIA? And I was like, well, I have heard about Cisco, but at that moment I haven't, I didn't know anything about CompTIA. I didn't know anything about Linux. I mean, I almost didn't know anything about computers, right, at 23 years. So that is the thing that I most love for me, about IT, that no matter if you didn't know anything, you can start at any moment. So I was like, well, it sounds awesome. It sounds interesting. I'm gonna give it a shot. So I start studying. The very first thing I start studying was Cisco, but in my country, the path, through Cisco is 4 modules. You gotta go through the module 1, 2, 3, and 4, and right after that, they give you the chance to get the certification in the place that I was studying. So I just get up to the module number 3, and I didn't do the certification exam because I didn't have the money to pay it in that moment. And I was like, well, networking is nice. I like it, but I mean, I was thinking it was so hard for me. I was thinking like, this kind of job is so complicated. I think I'm not gonna do it. And then the teacher I had, the Cisco teacher, he told me, Brian, there is something else that I think it's gonna be better for you. How about if you try Comte Plus? You know what? I'm gonna help you. I know you don't have money, so I'm gonna pay the course for you. And that guy saved my life that day. Yeah, he did it for sure. And I want to say thank you, Emmanuel, because I know you're gonna be looking at this video. Emmanuel, that's the name of this teacher. He paid the course for me, and you know I'm so thankful for it. So I started the Comte Plus course, and I just love it. I get in love with computers. I get in love with processors, CPUs, all this stuff I didn't understand before. This was the very first time I was able to build up a computer by my own with my own hands. And I was almost crying that day. I was like, I didn't think I was able to do something like this. And right after building the computer app and just putting all its components in place and turn that on, and look at the computer working and getting the operate the system, the OS, installed and everything and working, I was almost crying. And at that moment, something I was like, it was like a click. I did a click inside myself, and it was like, yeah, I really want to do this for a living. So I finished the CompTIA Plus course, and I get the certification. I got it actually, the certification, the A Plus. Right after that, I just started studying Linux, and I get the Linux Essential certification from the LPI. And then at that moment, I felt ready. I was like, I'm gonna get a job right now. So I start searching for jobs, and the very first IT job I got right after the financial job was because I was studying and working at the same time, and it was at Intel. I work at Intel. I get a position as a warranty specialist. That was the name of the position. And even though this position was not like as that into troubleshooting and things like that, it was awesome because it was like the door that was, getting open for me to get into the industry. So I take advantage of it. I get into the position. I get a job. I was so happy in Intel. It is a great company to work with. And what I used to do in that moment was just looking at warranty of components of CPUs, processors, memories. Also looking at motherboards from Intel, things like that. They also built up motherboards, and I have to kind of validate the warranties, like do very little tests, just like make sure the customer was not overclocking CPUs and things like that. And basically, it was really really basic, but I was taking advantage of it to learn. Looking about the industry, looking about other positions, what other people was doing while working there. And so I learned a little bit. I got some experience, and then there was a position that got open as a service desk, and in that one I have to deal with Active Directory and some other things as a help desk. So I apply for that position and I get it. And then I was able to reach the help desk, and I start doing help desk stuff. Everybody knows about it. Resetting passwords. It was a little bit more deeper because sometimes we had to do a little bit more things to help some engineers with issues. But like performing ping commands and things kind of basic. But I learned a lot from it, and I was at that position 3 years. It was kind of hard to get out of the help desk position because of several things. One of those was that at first, at the beginning, I felt really comfortable. I felt really nice working there. I was having a nice salary. I loved my schedule. It was awesome schedule, and my shift, I mean the people, everything was really nice, and I was like kind of happy. So I get into the comfortable area, and right after that, one day, that little thing inside myself start happening again. It was like, okay, so I study, I got my Comty Plus certification, I got my Linux Essential certification. I'm working as a help desk. So what else I'm gonna do? I don't wanna keep myself working here. I wanna keep growing. I gotta do something else that challenge me. And I start looking for a position as an engineer, as a tier one at least, or even tier two. I tried to land a tier two. So I start doing it, and I realized Splunk here in my country was hiring people with Linux knowledge. And I didn't know anything about Splunk, all right? I didn't even know what Splunk does at that moment. So I was like, well, they need people that know about Linux. I know about Linux a little bit, so let's give it a shot. I just get the interview and I land the job one more time. I landed it, and you know, it was awesome. It was the second time in the IT industry that I almost cry when I get this position as an engineer,
That
right?
that's awesome.
It was really awesome. And when I was right there, the very first day, I was so happy. I had the same smiling that I'm having right now. I just couldn't stop smiling, like in this moment. I mean, just remember that moment, and I just can't stop smiling. So happy, to be there. And I remember that, the coach, the person in charge of, training of the training process before starting the position, he always was like, Brian, why are you always so happy, always smiling? I was like, I'm sorry, it's just I cannot stop being smiling, right? And well, basically, I started training. I thought the training was going to be just like, learning about what Splunk does and what are the possible issues we could face and understanding the Splunk topologies and the product. But the most beautiful thing was that they said, you're going to get into a process in which you're going to get Splunk certifications. And I was like, that sounds awesome. Splunk certifications sound good. I mean, I like that. So I started the process and I get my power user Splunk certification. And then I continue with the process and I get my system administrator Splunk certification. And then recently, just like a couple of months ago, I got my architect Splunk certification. And,
That's awesome.
I
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. It has been a really awesome experience, honestly. That's basically how everything happened. It was so fast. And I'm still kind of feeling like I'm dreaming sometimes, but at the same time it's real. It's like making the things happen. I put a lot of effort, and I want to say this: within all this process, since the very beginning of the process, when I started with the Comty Plus, one of the very first thing I did was looking for videos in YouTube, and one of the very first videos I saw was in your channel, right? It was like 2018. I will never forget it. And I saw your video that you were getting prepared for the Comty Plus, and your video just motivated me a lot, a lot. I was looking at at Dakota in the screen, and I remember thinking, this guy looks to be so happy. It's just like feeling the same I'm feeling right now. So yeah, I kind of
That-
shared the same feeling, and I got motivated a lot with your videos, Dakota, and I start following you by that moment.
that's
Yeah, and
awesome. I really appreciate that.
yeah, I mean, your channel was a motivation thing for me. I never lost a video of your channel since that moment. And within all my process of IT, if I see you're live sharing information, I always try, to 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 be part of it, because I mean I have learned a lot from your channel, and I have get motivated because of it, and
Well, and
within
that
all this process.
yeah, and that's what I'm here for. I want to motivate people to be able to enter that, get the motivation and confidence to enter the IT field. And once they're in the IT field, I want to help them advance their career in the IT field. So, thank you for that. And, I I continue and thank you for coming on like to talk about your career. So you were talking a bit about certifications just a few minutes ago. So do you mind kind of listing off all the certifications you now have?
Yeah, I do have my CompTIA Plus certification. That was basically the first one I got, and then I got the Linux Essentials certification. By the way, I'm currently working on getting my LPIC one. Um, I also have my Google IT Support Professional certificate, and I want to say this certificate was really cool for me because every single people learn in a different way, and at least for me, the way I learn content, learn information, right? The way my brain works, basically, it just adjusts better with the process of the Google IT support certification. I mean, I learned a lot from the CompTIA, but I kind of struggle, like understanding some things. But with the Google, everything just was like clear, so clear because it's really basic, and that is the cool thing about that certification. Right after getting the CompTIA Plus, the Linux Essential certification, and the Google IT Support Professional certificate, then I got these certifications for Splunk, which is the first one I got. This the Splunk Core Certified Power User. That one is really cool because on that certification, basically, you're gonna learn about um, how the Splunk has a search language which is kind of similar to SQL, but it's not the same. It's similar. Its name is SPL, like Splunk processing language or something like that. Search, yeah, something like that. So the SPL language is the one you're going to use to perform searches of data in the search set of Splunk. That certification, basically, it's about it. It focuses on building up dashboards from searches with the SPL language. And the other certification I got right after that one is the Splunk Enterprise Certified Administrator. That one, it's more focused on Splunk topologies, how to build up your own topology. Even you kind of see a little bit of content about architecting and things like that. Is really cool, and troubleshooting and a lot of stuff. And right after that, I got the Splunk Architect certification. That one is the hardest one, because for that one you have to go through a 24-hour lab, and it's really funny. I mean, it's so funny, but you gotta get prepared for it, right? It's a 24 hours lab, so and yeah, basically those are my certifications currently.
That's awesome. So I want to take a moment and talk about what are some of your favorite things. What do you look forward to the most about the IT field? Like in your day to day responsibilities, what helps get you out of bed?
Well, my favorite things day-to-day basis on my current job is, first of all, what motivates me a lot every time, every day, when you're going through a troubleshooting process with a Zoom call or Teams call with a customer. The problem is just right there, and you just have no idea what's going on. Sometimes you don't even know where to search, but you just start digging into it and trying to find it out. And for any reason, you just get the solution every day for every problem. uh, that moment in which you just perform any configuration adjustment, or that moment in which you just run a command and the problem got fixed, that is actually what motivates me. It actually makes me feel, like I'm really doing something good. Sometimes I'm helping hospitals, you know, and hospitals, they do critical things for their own customers, right? For their health, and Splunk is actually working with its data. So it's critical data, sensitive data, that it needs to be working properly. And when you fix this problem, in that moment you realize that you're not only helping that customer, you're also helping a lot of people, and that is really nice. You feel like a superhero. I think helping at the end of the day is the main thing that makes me, you know, get out of the bed every day and
Yeah.
motivated.
Absolutely. I can definitely relate. Is the the satisfaction I get from helping someone, do something that they may have not known how to do, and I tend not to just fix the problem. I try to also kind of help teach them, so help their skills become better if they're interested. Some people just want to get them along their day, but I try to
Yeah.
turn into a learning opportunity. And when I can see that, when it clicks in their mind, I can see that click, and all of a sudden they feel better about the issue. I really enjoy that.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's a word, satisfaction. You're
yeah.
totally right. Yeah.
So on a darker note, what are some things that aren't the greatest in your job? Not necessarily at your current job, but in the IT field that you've experienced. What were some things you necessarily didn't like so much?
Well, about the IT industry, what I think I don't like as that much. Well, I can say, I mean, most of it I love it. So honestly, it's a hard question for me. But
Yeah,
job titles, sometimes I just hate them a lot.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because the first job position I got, which was the one at Intel, the warranty specialist thing, this job title at first was like a help desk position. So I thought I was going into help desk position, and based on my research, I was like, well, that is a nice position to start in the IT field. But when I was into it, I realized it wasn't like that. It was a warranty specialist, completely different, another name, really. Didn't do almost anything related to service desk position. And yeah, I think that is the moment when I start hating job titles in the IT field, because I realized they usually are not as that related with you are really going to be doing. That is something I don't like. Besides that, something else I don't like about the IT, like not too much. What else it could be? I don't think this is not related to the IT field in general. I think this is more like it depends. It depends of the place where you are working on, because sometimes the environment when you have to work with people that are very good, with what they're doing. I have been with senior engineers, tier three engineers, that they are, awesome. That you are like, this guy knows everything about everything. I have no idea how he do it, how he's doing it. And sometimes they are kind of, I'm not sure if selfish is the word, but they don't like to share their secrets. They don't want to help you.
Yeah,
And I think one of the reasons is because they don't want you to learn what they have learned. And I don't like that, honestly. If I can share what I did to learn new things and what I did to be better than my current job position, I will do it. And I'm currently doing it with new people getting into Splunk. I always do. So I don't like that. But I think it is more
absolutely.
related to people. Not sure if you have done or you have gone actually through something like that in your IT
Uh,
experience.
absolutely, and I think people are trying to protect their jobs, which is kind of silly in a sense because um, you know, anyone that's in the IT field that shares their knowledge and stuff is only helping the career field grow. Um,
Mhm.
and I have run into it, and I think that attitude is going away. I'm really hoping it's going away. Because most people seems like in the IT field are kind of like you and I that want to help people and see them succeed.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
but I have absolutely seen it.
Yeah.
So if you were to give anyone some advice to become a Linux technical support engineer, like someone looking to enter that job title, what would it be?
Well, the very first thing I want to say is that if you consider yourself not a computer guy, get into it, because I wasn't a computer guy. at all. Now, if you believe you struggle and you are not very good memorizing, learning new content, don't worry about it. Get into the IT field. Most of it is just research and save your data in a safety place. Get into it. Don't feel like you are not gonna do it because you will, right? Of course you have to put some effort on it. You gotta study, but you're gonna start loving it. If you are thinking about leaving your current job because you feel it's not what you love to do, because you are feeling like I don't want to keep doing this the rest of my life, and you kind of feel like the university standard process is not the best option because of money, because of time, the IT field is what you need. And also if you like computers, even better. I mean, just go ahead and start doing it. Don't waste your time. Advices for Linux. Well, I can advise to practice a lot. Try to, get a virtual machine, install some Ubuntu computer right there, and just, kind of work with the CLI, the, command line prompt, and just practice commands. And if you don't know where to start, I could advise to start in the Net Academy from Cisco. It has really nice Linux courses. I start from there, and are really cool even from scratch. They have a course, Linux Untouched or something like that, which is for very beginners, people that never touch anything about Linux in their lives. CVT Nuggets is also really cool, and I know you, Dakota, recommended a lot. And there is just a lot of content in Google. Just Google it. How to learn Linux. How do I start learning Linux? Do your own research about certifications, because certifications at the end of the day will kind of help you land a job. I mean, one of the things that helped me a lot get all these interviews with these three companies was because of my certifications. So they are going to help you out at the end of the day. And, I would recommend to get those. And what else I can advise? Well, just love what to do. Love it. I think that's the most important secret. If you love it, for sure you're gonna get it, you're gonna succeed. And well, if this is also, it's not the most important thing, but it's also something we gotta talk about. If
Mhm.
salary is something you want to improve in your life, you could certainly do it with the IT field. This industry,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
it pays
and
to do.
and if you're, I mean, I used to say, if you're in IT for the money, you shouldn't be in IT. But really, there is a lot of money to be made in IT. The key is you have to be willing to be constantly learning, because that entry level position is probably not going to pay the best, but it's a foot in the door to a career where you can be easily making six figures, a couple years down the road. If you're willing to put the drive in, if you're willing to constantly be learning and really dedicate yourself, absolutely, there is a lot of money to be made. And you were talking about Linux certifications. I really think, like, personally, I'm studying for my CompTIA Linux Plus certification right now. As a director of network operations, in our organization, I'm constantly using Linux, and I think Linux is a very important system to learn, because more and more corporations are building all their platforms off of Linux. So I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
is very important. So absolutely.
It is. It is. Actually, in my current job position, the 95% of the cases I have to deal with customers, the 95%, even I would say even more, 97% of the problems that we have to troubleshoot are Linux related, are with Linux
Absolutely.
boxes.
And, I think a lot of people are scared of Linux because they just haven't had experience with it. But Linux really isn't that hard of an operating system to use. I mean, once you start learning some of the basic commands and stuff and start getting your hands dirty, Linux is actually, I find it quite enjoyable. I've actually converted my work computer to run Linux, as my daily computer, just because I'm in Linux system so much. It was just made a lot easier to to run Linux as my primary operating system.
It is enjoyable. It is. I always say that Linux is like playing a video game.
Yeah.
At least that it is for me, and that's the way I kind of feel it. It's nice, and once you start understanding it, navigating through the directories and files and looking at the stuff, you kind of get addicted to it. It's like it's nice, and it is not as that hard. I mean, just by practicing, you're going to start memorizing the commands, and I mean, honestly, for me, Linux is better by far than Windows. To be honest with you, I just like it more. Sorry for the Windows guys, but yes, for me it is better. Yeah.
do, do you have any more advice you want to share for really anyone that's looking to get in the field or advance their career?
Well, yes. I always like to give also tips in the studied method that you are following because I have I have had the chance to talk to people that have problems learning, and they are always so worried about it and asking about it, and I have seen that in the chats too. Sometimes they say, hey, I went through this course but I'm feeling like I'm not really learning and things like that. So my advice is that first, don't be afraid of doing a lab for any reason. I have seen people that just don't like to do labs, but if you're labbing, it will help you a lot. The IT field, it's something that is just not reading content and memorizing content and just putting content or information into your brain. You also have to learn how to implement things. And the way to learn how to implement that information you just downloaded in your brain is by doing labs, doing a project. So if you are that kind of person that might be you're able to read a lot and cover a lot of information, but you kind of feel you are not understanding, in the moment you start practicing by building your own lab, troubleshooting your lab, making your lab work, that will make you complete that little part of the learning process in the IT field. So starting, looking for content, looking for information, reading and practicing by doing projects and labs, I think that is an advice I would like to do mainly for studying for the IT field in general. I think this applies in general for networking, Linux, every single certification you're going through, CompTIA Plus, Linux Essentials. I can say that, because of my experience, Splunk certifications, I had to build up my own Splunk topology and play around with it to better understand it and make sure I really understand the content. So I think that's a kind of advice I would like to give to people in general that kind of feel they are struggling with the learning process if they want to get into the IT field.
Absolutely. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time. And if any of you out there have any questions for Brian or myself, make sure and put them in the comments. I'm sure Brian will be
Yeah,
watching the comments, and both of us will get back. One of us or both of us will get back to you. Thank you again for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I really hope to have you on future shows or live streams as well.
thank you so much, Dakota, for for sharing your channel and this time with me. I really appreciate it, and keep doing what you're doing. You're awesome. You're motivating people, and I'm a result of your channel.
I really appreciate it. And, that's the kind of the whole reason I started my channel was I had a very similar story like yours. Um, I started watching, I was very unhappy in my job. And I started watching another YouTuber, Zach, from IT Career Questions, and
Oh,
he
hi.
motivated me to get my first job in the IT field. Then he motivated me to share my knowledge and start my this YouTube channel. I feel like I've been very lucky and very successful in the IT field, and I want to share that knowledge to hopefully help other people, follow their dreams and
Yeah,
enjoy what they're doing for a living.
yeah, that's right. I mean, it's awesome. It's just awesome, and you're gonna feel happy. And so again, if you're thinking about getting into the IT field, just to start doing it. Don't think about it, just do it, and of course
Absolutely.
you're gonna be feeling good with it.
Well, thank you again for coming on the show, and thank you everyone for tuning in. And I hope this was informative for you guys, and I'd like to thank you guys for viewing.